Hello class, there's a couple things that I want to talk to you about. We have some new brushes that I was able to purchase for the class, but with every supply I want you to know how important it is to take care of the supply. So I made this, and I kind of took this idea from one of my favorite art teachers that I look at online. Her name is Casey Stevens, and for this she talked about a paintbrush, how it reminds her of a ballerina, and when she talks about it with the kids, you want to think of that paintbrush as a slipper. And if you look right down here, there on her foot on the left, it is actually a paintbrush, and at the top it says dip not scrub. Now we've talked before about the importance of taking care of a brush, and I wanted to talk to you about this. Kind of came at a perfect time because I'm also going to talk to you about Claude Monet, and I looked up the history of a paintbrush, and the history of a paintbrush talks about how painting started to change in the Impression, and look on my timeline over here, in the Impression time period, which I can't zoom in, it's when we talked about Seurat and also Vincent. It's the 1, 2, 3, I guess I can point with my finger, maybe. Right there is the Impression art time period on our timeline. We talked about the art history timeline. And in that time period, the paintbrush started to change, and how it changed was it became flat. Now before, I have my paintbrushes, and this is our paintbrushes, our new paintbrushes. Let me see if you can see. They're beautiful. This brush on the left is a round paintbrush, and typically that's what artists painted with. And in the time period of the Impressionist art time period, they actually made this thing flattened, and they were able to put this barrel on there, and the ends, I'm missing it, the ends are actually flat. And so it changed how the artists used the paintbrush and the strokes that they used, and it became an impressionism, and that's what they named the painting strokes, because they were teeny tiny strokes. And we talked about this before with Vincent last year, and this is a sample of what the fourth graders are going to be doing. This is their project. This is my sample, and they're teeny tiny little strokes. So instead of using this round brush, artists were able to they're also able to get outdoors. Trains were invented, and we had the flat brush. They could take tubes of paint. They didn't have to, so it was portable. They could take their stuff to go. And you could see Claude Monet, like I said, that's our next artist of the month. You could see where his artwork is outdoors. He was born in Paris, and he was influenced. You can see my board here, which I'm not going to go through all that because you have a video that you're going to see, but I want you to see his artwork. How it's just teeny tiny little brush strokes, and he is most known for his water lilies, which is what the fourth grade project is going to be. They're going to paint a canvas, and like I said, this is an example of it. But when I was researching the paintbrushes, on here it talked about where bristles, they called it bristle because this I thought was kind of funny. The bristles is because they used to be made exclusively from the bristles of hogs, pigs, boars, and all noted their particular rough hair. And then talked about how, in which I just mentioned, there's the article that I got that from, how painting started to change. But what I want you to go back to this poster, and I want you to think about, the reason why I made this video, is when you are painting, we've already talked about how you are very careful with the paintbrush, that you paint with it like it's a wand, and think of this as your ballerina slipper. Look how it can be right there in front of it. And so you just dip it in the paint. You do not shove that slipper across the floor, okay, or my hand, because it will break this down, okay, and you want to take care of our nice new paintbrushes. And so you only put a little bit of paint on the tip, and so you dip, not scrub. And if you see somebody next to you saying, oh, please don't do that, dip, not scrub. And if you see right here, a nice little paintbrush here I can use, see how these paintbrushes are smiling? Because they are up in the water cup. They are not down in there, because what happens is this gets so soaked and it'll rust after a while and it'll fall off. Now we have old paintbrushes, and I don't want us to have to use these old paintbrushes that have had bad hair, that have not been taken care of. And a lot of them, the barrels are coming off. So we have new paintbrushes. When you, like I said, you leave them, I would rather you just lay them on your paper towel, having them dry, and when you're done at the end, you clean them. And if you clean them in your little water tub, and then you take your paper towels and you gently dry them off, and then afterwards you reshape them. So that's a lesson on the round brush, the flat brush, and also dipping, not scrubbing, and make a brush happy up in the cup. Thank you.